What is good, everybody? Welcome to Unfair Sports, the Sooner or Later podcast. I am your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up with me here on this Sunday evening. For those here on the YouTube channel, if you have been here for a while, you know the routine, hit that like button as well as share. Why? Because sharing is caring. We're definitely live here this Sunday and pretty excited to talk all things college football as well as Sooner football. If you are listening to the podcast version of this, please rate us, review us, and give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Just give us 5 anyway and gift it. So on today's episode, we're going to dive into some fun topics. We're going to start off with the latest commitment from the wide receiver out of Texas that really got your boy excited when he announced. We'll talk about some crystal balls that have come down the line. We'll move into we'll talk a little NFL talk, some of the players that have gotten drafted and the excitement around them being drafted. There has been some additional entries into transfer portal, and I want to explain why that makes sense and why it was going to come down the line. And then we'll talk ESPN has put out their football power index. They put it out last week. Wanted to drop a video on it. And so we will talk through that, and then we will wrap things up. I've got to talk Colorado. I'm really intrigued by this exodus that's happening there. And the reason why I think that us as Sooner fans should really pay just a little attention because it makes sense at what's going down. But before we jump right into it, I do have a special guest with me, our guy Jason from over there at Hall of Fame Media. Jason, what's going on?
What's up? Glad to be here, man.
I appreciate you pulling up as usual and joining your boy.
Sure.
We've got some fun stuff to talk about, man. It's fun stuff, and I'm glad that you were able to pull up here here this evening. So before we jump into anything else, as I mentioned before in the comments, folks, hit that rate, review, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. Go ahead and show some love. And so real quick, William, thank you. I appreciate the super sticker, $100. Hey, man, that's going to go towards some equipment. Like I said, I've been trying to work on some new cameras just to give us some great content. I've got some cool stuff, projects coming here in June that I cannot wait to talk to you all about. But right now I can't because I'm waiting for it. Also, there is a couple of show updates I'm going to open with first. One, the podcast. There will be some changes coming soon on the media side of the podcast as well as the stream. I do plan on doing on Sundays going forward. But I want to let y'all know there's going to be some changes coming in May. You'll see and hear about it on the first stream at the first weekend of May. Since it's April, we're not going to jump into it, but I want y'all to know there'll be some changes. When you see them, you'll understand what that means as I'm looking to join a podcasting network just to, help get the word out a little bit more. So keep your eyes out for that. Next up, we'll definitely continue to do some of this throughout May. This is a very quiet period in recruiting, so I don't want y'all to think that I'm ignoring you all. It's just going to be really, really quiet. So we're going to figure out stuff to talk about for you all. So we're going to throw stuff against the wall. Hopefully you all get excited about it because I'm always excited to chatting with you all here in the comments. And so I wanted to throw this. First off, we'll do of course, intros. Jags, what's up? Thanks for pulling up. Hank, yes, William throwing that $100 out, man, got me motivated to get in and start early. So thanks for pulling up, Hank. What's good with you, my man? I ain't seen Cam in a cool minute. So I'm glad that you are pulling up more often again. Glad that work hasn't been consuming you too much. What's good, DJ? Thank you for pulling up. Yes, James. Thriller, baby. Good stuff. Got to bring all the fun stuff in. And William is out in Thailand. That's awesome. Hey, man, did you see Cliff Kingsbury while you was out there? Did you get to hang out with Cliff? Because I know he spent him some good time out there before he decided to head to USC. So I'm glad you
I got some thoughts on that, but I won't today.
Yeah, we'll go into that later. But William, thank you for pulling up from Thailand. I plan on hitting that up one of these days. Mars, what's Gucci? Let's go. We're going to jump on it. Seth will talk about Colorado late in the show. So for those that don't want to hear it, you can, exit out at that point. But we will talk about them to wrap things up because I have a lot of thoughts. And, of course, Hank's what's good. So, yeah, we're going to jump into the first really topic of discussion, 5 minutes in. Let's talk about these NFL guys. So I know you all saw that the Sooners had, 5 guys go in the draft? That to me is, of course, a good one. I'm gonna go ahead and share some of these beautiful things that we have synced. So Jason, talk to me, my man, when it comes to, of course, seeing players like you got. Let me put this to the side. Actually, oops, not that one. There we go. Anton going, first round. Another first round offensive lineman, Coach Beaton Bags, doing what he does best, sending offensive linemen to the draft. I was stoked seeing him do that. Seth, you make a great point here. 2 Clemson D linemen drafted in the first round. They were Bates guys. Don't worry, we'll have those players as well. Then you got the second round. We've got Marvin Mims. He definitely went out, which now makes more sense as to why he entered.
I got to tell you, that one was a shocker to me because I thought that he should have probably hung around. I'm glad to be eating crow on this one because I really thought that I know with the grades that he was getting as far as pre-draft, it more looked like he was going to be that 4th round type guy. You know what I mean? And I get you. If for that matter, you need to hang around one more year, make sure. Obviously, the training that he did with Michael Johnson, huge. And I think that they got a good one in him, man. They really did. So I'm excited for him.
I'm same. I'm stoked, and I loved when he was going through the pre-draft system and going through like the interviews and stuff. And they was asking about the difference between being under Lincoln Riley and being under Jeff Lebby, because Riley was the OC as well as the head coach. And he talked about the difference in coaching and the route running. He was like, with Lebby's, they gave him so many options, it felt more NFL like. And so they had to make those decisions on the fly, and he was able to learn a lot more. He used a lot more of the route tree underneath Lebby, in his opinion, and Riley, because Riley just draws up fantastic plays, and it's a done deal. He's one of those Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay.
Yeah, it's run down the field, and it's my guy against yours. Let's see who wins.
Right, and even with that, it's just you don't have to think too much. Just do this route. You're going to be open because I've set it up schematically to where it works. So that's the narcissism of some certain coaches, and rightfully so. We've seen success, and so it's great seeing Mims hit that second round. Wanye going in the third. This one shocked me. I actually thought he'd go a little bit higher, even with the injury piece, but totally makes sense that he still ended up within the first 3 rounds, which is a fantastic pickup. Kansas City loves Sooners. And as it was mentioned down here, you notice that the Eagles love Georgia. So they just traded for Swift and Aaron Swift, and they got Swift. They drafted a whole bunch of Georgia players. They just love Georgia. And so it's a beautiful thing seeing that. The Rams.
Pretty smart move on their part, I would think, right now.
It's funny that it feels like and I'll probably talk about this on another pod soon, but they have the Bengals like philosophy for drafting, and the Bengals have the Bengals are infamous for having one of the cheaper scouting departments in NFL, right? Mm-hmm. Their owner Brown is extremely cheap. Oh, and this is his only job, but has been forever. But it's fascinating because their philosophy is just go draft guys out of the college football playoff. That's it. That's their whole philosophy.
If they play in the playoffs 2 years ago,
go for it. Yeah, exactly. Go draft guys that played in the college football playoff. That's their whole philosophy. So you'll see them with a lot of players from like Oklahoma, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson. They're just going to go for those players. They're not even going to try anything else. They don't want to go find diamonds in the rough. Give me the guys that I've seen play in January on those Saturdays. Let me get them. And you're like, okay, that makes sense.
I love that.
But Wanye coming here from Tennessee, and then showing out under Beaton Bow was huge to me. That was a nice one. Eric Gray getting drafted in the 5th, so the second Tennessee transfer to Oklahoma goes out there, gets himself in the NFL to the Giants, which I think was a pretty good spot for him to land.
I felt like he was probably going to go sooner than that, though. It felt like, I don't know.
Yeah, I had him graded more late 4th. He ended up late 5th. It did shock me, but at the same time, I guess you could say it kind of makes sense. He ran a solid 40, and I did expect more. Of course, I'm the one person that's eating a lot of crow on Eric Gray because I think
Eric's better than that though. I thought he was a 3rd round guy. I did. I didn't figure 1st or 2nd because obviously that just doesn't happen very often with running backs. In fact, I was one of the biggest surprises to me out of the first round was that they took 2 running backs inside the top 15. That hadn't happened in forever.
Right.
So, it was like, wow. But
exactly.
But I thought he was a little late. But I think Eric's going to have he's going to have a good career. I do.
Same. I agree. I'm very high on Eric Gray's trajectory. Long term, he looks like a back that can just last in the NFL. I'm not sure if he'll be a feature back or one of those that will be just that dominant, but I do see him as a back that will last in the NFL for some years. He's durable enough, and he's just consistent. And I think the consistency is going to help him a lot. And then you got Braden Willis, which wrapped up the draftees as he went to the 49ers. And goodness,
Steal
the 49ers
of
just
the
got
draft, and the Niners are my team, and I'm excited about this.
Yeah, Shanahan's going to draw some stuff up and get this man open.
And listen, as good as George Kittle is, he has had some injury problems over the last few years because of the way he plays. He's always running right through everybody.
Yep.
And you need to have some guys. You need to have depth there if you're Niners. If you're the Niners. So to me, I was so surprised that it took that long for Braden to go. But I was like, Niners, yes, that's the steal of the draft for me. So.
No, I'm with you there, man.
I think he's going to be unbelievable at this level.
Agreed. I think he's special enough, and the way Shanahan does things, I know he's going to scheme it up to where Willis is going to show out. That's the beauty of certain players like Willis going into the NFL is if you get them to the right coach, they're going to put that man in a very successful spots. All he's got to do is catch the ball, and I think he will. I think he'll be fine. I'm excited. A few of my friends are 49ers fans, and they've already hit me and was like, yeah.
Stupid excited about that one.
That was a good move.
That one last night, yeah.
So yeah, I'm stoked to see what that's going to look like long term. And so that's the players that got drafted. Everybody else, we did have a lot of players that signed to teams. Jalen Redmond signed with the Carolina Panthers. We had Michael Turk, he signed with the Miami Dolphins.
He did finally. I was wondering about that one.
Yep, he signed with the Dolphins, and I think Kim pointed that out in here too. Yep, followed his uncle, went to the Miami Dolphins. You had Chris Martin going to the Buccaneers. My Bucks picking up another lineman, something that we definitely need. Then you've got, let me go back. I think that's really everybody. I'm trying to know if somebody else got signed. I know they did. I just had a complete brain fart just now. I'll pull it up. But no, we've got a lot of good players end up getting themselves drafted or signing. CJ Colden. CJ Colden signed with the Vikings. That was the one I was thinking about. Colden is headed to the Vikings. And I think Anton's going to probably do very well in Jacksonville. He got put into a very good place. Chris Murray, my apologies, not Martin Murray. He's headed to my Buccaneers, and my Bucks need as much help as we can possibly get. So that's the players that went pro. Super excited to see them get some signatures and actually get some jobs. You'll probably see a lot of them on Sunday getting some game. I've noticed that, especially on the defensive side, if they don't get drafted, we do have a tendency of making rosters and actually getting some playing time. Some Sooners have. And we are stoked. And to answer your question, Jimmy, Jalen Redmond is headed to the Panthers. He's a Carolina Panther. So we'll talk about that. But going to move on. Thank y'all for pulling up. Please, while you're here, hit that like button if you're new to the channel, or if you're on the Hall of Fame stream and you're not part of this channel, hit that subscribe button and go both ways. You're on the Unfair Sports side and you want to get some content from Jason, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on his channel also. And so let's move on into the one thing that got your boy excited. We had a commitment. We had a commitment on Thursday, so I planned on trying to put out a video Friday. I was traveling, and I ended up in the airport for like 9 hours, and that was not fun. So I owe y'all a bunch of videos of stuff that I want to do, and so we're going to put them all together today. So let's jump on this one first. The commitment. We got a wide receiver, 4-star Zion Kearney has committed to Oklahoma, and I'm going to tell you all, in the most selfish way of all of this, this is probably one of the most exciting commitments that we've received. And there's one reason why. Jason, I don't know if you know this, but did you see his commitment video?
Dude, I didn't. I was on the road too. I had to get to Lubbock and handle that business. So Yeah.
Okay. So saw the commitment video, right? Went and watched it. I'm going to make sure I drop the link in the description after the show if you guys want to go watch it. Well, actually, I have it in my community post on my channel, so you can go watch that. But when I watched the commitment video, I started listening. I'm like, man, this sounds familiar. Why do I know that voice? Oh, they sampled your boy's voice. They took my video on him being a crystal ball, and they threw me in his commitment video. Our boy PG over there from the PG show, they put his face in the video talking about the schools that he was going through. So we made it, folks.
My dude.
We made it.
That's awesome.
We made it. We made it into a commitment video.
Now I gotta
Of course,
go
I was
watch
excited.
It.
Of course, I was excited. Go to the
now.
community if you want to see it. But Zion got your boy in his commitment video. So I was excited. But let's talk about Zion. Of course. He's rated here. On 3 has him at 6'3", 24/7 at 6'2", but I've been looking at a lot of the stuff. He's 6'3", consensus 4-star wide receiver, top 100 player easily in the country. And yeah, he's fast, which is what I appreciate, and which I know you all appreciate. We've got speed. We added Brendan Thompson when we got him from the transfer portal from Texas, who runs, I think he ran a personal best 10:18. I have not been able to verify it. I've seen it in random videos, but nothing that showed the number. But I've heard 10:18. I've also heard 10:22, but it doesn't matter. Brendan Thompson is fast. Zion's also got some speeds on him too. He does track as well. And yeah, and he's big.
These are the guys that Levy goes after too, you know, big and fast.
Big and fast. And so all you're going to see is some monstrous play out of him from, imagine him with Jackson Arnold next season, right? We also got Jaquez Petaway, who runs a 10-2 coming this summer. And he was actually at the track meet dipping. I think Caden Durham beat him by a couple of seconds. And so Zion's a stud. Like, 100%. He is a stud and probably one of the best, which is funny to me at his current rating. I am surprised that he's not a 5-star yet.
He will be.
I'm gonna be honest. I think he's gonna finish
mid-season. I would think.
I think mid-season to the end, he's gonna be a 5-star. He ran as a junior a 10.89 in the 100, which is still blazing.
That's like 600ths of a second behind Jaquez. So it's
yeah. So the good thing for him is that if he was in another state besides in Mission, Texas, he would probably be a state track All-American. But because he's in Texas with a whole bunch of fast dudes who just run track only and they go for the Olympics.
Correct. Yes.
That's almost Olympic speed. Period.
Dude,
we saw DK Metcalf run that.
And something that I've been to the state track meet before, for the big schools and stuff like that. And I got to tell you that they break records. I went one time to Austin and watched it, and it was just ridiculous, the speed. And the guys that were in the district that I was covering were supposed to be super fast. And they're getting mobbed by these guys. It was just there's so much speed there. I mean, they call Florida the speed state, but there's a lot of speed in Texas too.
There is a ton of speed. And like I said, with Zion at his size, at about 6'3", almost 200 pounds, he's built already at the collegiate level. You can tell that he trains like he's ready to play college football. I mean, honestly, he's about built to play NFL football right now. And all we've got to do is just make sure this man's ready to play. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
Jaquez looks like a linebacker, man.
Petaway is pretty big. Yeah. But Zion, though, man, I am just excited, not only for the fact that your boy ended up in a commitment video, but at the same time that we were able to land another elite wide receiver. This is a Jalil Farouk type setup for me. And Farouk at about the same size. I see Zion's a playmaker. He's a full-fledged playmaker. When he's out there on the field, he's gonna make something happen. You just got to get him in space. And watching him in space, when I went through his highlight videos, that told me I need to know. And we talked about him when we first got the crystal balls about him, that him being out there in space is dangerous. And I'm excited to see what we get out of him long term. So y'all see top 100. I mean, 58th on threes. He's 63 on 247s, and I expect him to move up in the top 32 before the season's up and become a 5-star. As we have another 5-star wide receiver on 24/7 that may show up soon, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about another player because the one thing that I get from everybody on a regular basis is questions about what's up with these defensive players, what's up with these elite recruits that Bates and them are working on. When are we going to get some words? So I'm going to tell you all this, and I'm going to say this in the nicest possible way that I can. The top defensive lineman in the country, everybody wants them. Everybody does. And when I went through the competition, with these 4 stars and 5 stars available, I went and looked at Clemson. I went and looked at Alabama. I went and looked at Ohio State. I went and looked at, Georgia. Nobody's got one to sign yet besides Clemson. Clemson has 2 4 stars that they've signed recently. Mm-hmm. And so besides that, everybody else has just signed all these skills positions because those are the players that they're able to get to really, lock down right now. So going through all of them, not a lot of these elites, Williams and Nwaneri, your Joseph Jonah Ajonye, your David Stones. None of these players have actually fully committed anywhere. Yeah. Nigel Smiths of the world. They're still evaluating. So this is a long dance. Mm-hmm. Welcome to top tier recruiting. Welcome, people. I want to welcome you all to it because this is what it looks like. And so there was a player, though, that did get some more crystal balls, and I did want to point that out because when we started getting a bunch of these crystal balls coming down the line, a commitment has followed so far. And let's look at it. Joseph Jonah Ajonye, 4-star defensive lineman, 6'5", right now 260 in high school. And you can see a little picture of him next to Bates. We've talked about him in numerous videos. I'll make sure to drop one in the description so you all can go check out some of the old school stuff. But he's starting to get crystal balls. Texas A&M Insider gave us one. Nick Harris, his last crystal ball before leaving the industry. We are going to land some big name players. Like, I have zero doubt on his. Jason, how you feeling about us getting one of these big time defensive linemen coming soon?
Well, one of them, I think they're going to get 3 before it's all said and done. I think the minimum is about 3 of these major deals. I mean, this is what the 3rd or 4th crystal ball for one of these guys between 247 rivals, all that stuff. Everybody has Williams and Nwaneri headed to OU. We're not positive about that. Obviously, he was in Colorado last. But then, and from what I can tell, Stoney is, I expect Stoney to end up there. He's a OU guy. His sister's at OU. And I really, really, really hope that Nigel Smith ends up with the Sooners. And I feel like he is going to. So I think 3, maybe 4. So, 1, it's a lock. Mm-hmm. So, one's a lock. I think 3 is if they don't get 3, I'll be shocked.
I agree. And with the way things have gone in recruiting for us, we're starting to see a lot of people gravitate to just throwing those crystal balls out there immediately. Like, yeah, I think these teams are going to get it. And I'm excited. This is what Sooner fans have been excited about. I'm seeing in the comments, we're hearing, can't wait for the season. But yeah, Neo, you're 100% right. There's nothing guaranteed until pen to paper. You are 100% correct on that. And so we have all the way till December to prepare for pen to paper. But I'm excited at where we're at, where we're set up, and where we're headed as Sooner fans. So be excited about seeing this crystal ball because your boy is very much excited about who we've got. And that's just it, man. We're starting to get players big time. So while you're here, thanks for pulling up. Hit the like button. Hit the share button as well. Why? Because sharing is caring. And so we're going to jump into the next topic, transfer portal. So I wanted to talk about this now because when we go all the way around to the Colorado content later on at the end of the show, you're going to understand where I'm coming from on both folds of this. So we've had 2 players enter the portal in the last 5 days. One just came out today, and the first one was a few days ago. And so I want to jump into who we're seeing hitting the portal. So today's portal entry was our guy Cullen Montgomery, offensive lineman. He has entered the portal. Now, Cullen redshirted last season, and so he didn't play. But he is part of the who's part of what, the 21 class.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it didn't work out. And so when we went through the depth charts and stuff earlier before the spring game, you didn't see Cullen's name on there. We've got a lot, even with the injury problems that we have at the offensive line right now, he just couldn't crack it. And it's nothing against him, nothing against him as a person. It's just we've got a lot of talent lined up that is ready to play. And honestly, we've got a lot of walk-ons that are big guys that we are trying to basically mold into better players long term. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one reason why we ended up losing him going towards the portal. Jason, what you thinking?
I was hearing a lot of stuff about him for the last few weeks. So that he was one of the ones that was one of the few ones that weren't really fitting into the room for whatever reason. And nothing against him. I don't know. I don't know the kid. But it's just what I've heard. And we've talked about this a lot, that sometimes whenever there's a coaching staff move, and there's a big change like that not everybody that hangs around is going to be a fit. And whatever reason they didn't take him with right away, maybe just because he wasn't quite ready yet. But if he's, for whatever reason, I hate to see you lose along the offensive line, because you're right. I think if there's anywhere that we need more depth, it's definitely in the trenches. But I think we're seeing some movement in that direction anyway, but whether it be through the portal, you're going to end up seeing some. I know that we've already got a big commitment for next year as well. So I'm not too concerned about it, really. I think it is what it is. And if he's going to get a chance to go play somewhere, anywhere, it's better for him. If he's not fitting into the room and he's not going to get time, why would you stay?
Oh, that's true, and they need the opportunity to play.
So
yeah, and I'm gonna, and this is the reason why I wanted to preface this early as we go through these players is just as you just said, we need the scholarships. Mm-hmm. If I'm correct, we're over by maybe like 5 or 6 players, and so there's a good chance that these aren't the only 2 that we're going to see. Another one that we just lost earlier was Damon Harmon, which he was a safety. Love Damon. He was a great contributor. He's young. He played well for us, and he also had that scary hit against TCU.
Yep.
And he had I guess it was the neck injury, and he ended up not playing. And so because of that, he's jumped in the portal, and and it's also because of how big our safety room is right now. Just DB room in general.
It's going to be hard to get on the field for even the guys that are, that you expected to before this spring,
Right. And we had some players in the spring that didn't even play. Like, you had Jaden Rowe, who's still going through, the shoulder surgery stuff.
Right.
And we had a lot of players that are coming in. I mean, from Peyton Bowen to with Reggie Pearson out there doing his things, Billy Bowman. You've got Robert Spears Jennings, who is expected to get more time. Gentry Williams.
I was fixing to say Gentry. Yeah, Gentry.
And there's a good chance because Jaden Davis is gone. There's a good chance that we see a lot of Gentry as well as Spears Jennings, or we'll probably see a lot of Connie Walker. We've got a pretty good secondary room right now. Willie Washington, of course, starting on the other side. Key Lawrence is going to get a lot of game, which is good. We don't expect Key to get moved out too much. We expect him to be around. And right now, even if anybody, Willie Washington is looking over his shoulder. He's still trying to figure out. Man,
and Woody's an All-American candidate. Woody's an All-American candidate, and he's having to look over his shoulder. Look at what these young kids are doing as they come in.
Kendall Dobie is trying to take it, man.
Bro,
he's coming in as a JUCO, and he's like, "Hey, man,
hey, I get it.
He's smelling fresh meat."
Well, what I would say is that I'm not because here's the thing. You've got Kendall Dobie, then you also have Makari Vickers, my boy. You have Josiah Wagner has turned heads the entire spring.
And I haven't even talked about the young players on purpose because of that. I mean, the only one that I know that we can definitively talk about is Bowen, because of just how absurd he's been. But Josiah Wagner's another one. Everybody was kind of curious. I mean, he's small, he's slight. You know, he's out of Washington State.
Like freaking 10 feet tall.
That's what I was gonna say. He's small, he's slight. He's coming from Washington State. There's a good chance they're gonna flip him to the University of Washington. And I kept telling people, "Don't worry, we good." He comes here and he's lighting people up. And they're like, "Oh, this little dude like to hit." Bro. Same thing with Dolby. They little dudes like to hit.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
What do we love more than anything?
They call them pit bulls for reasons, man. When you call the little guy pit bull, whew.
It tells you everything you need to know, and that's what I expect from this squad going forward. Is having players like that. That's just like, yeah, we're gonna do the thing, and so I'm stoked. I'm excited that our secondary, unfortunately, losing out on Jaden Davis as well as losing out on Damon Harmon, you losing out on veteran presence, but we've got enough vets there. I think we'll be fine. I want them to go be great. So, you know, I want y'all to do the same, fans. I want y'all to let them know, hey, we appreciate your service. Thank you for coming here. We understand that you've fallen so far in the depth chart. You probably get it. Show some love because we're excited about them. I mean, I saw a couple players. Was that Bray Walker as well as Alexander went down to Texas State. I had to hop in there in the mentions on Twitter and tell them, hey, man, go be great. Always Sooners. You graduated from OU. We're glad that you were here. Go where you're going to get a chance to play. So, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, I do expect the Sooners to not be not sit on their hands in the portal. I have high expectations that we're going after players. I know we was going after the offensive lineman Josh Simmons recently from San Diego State, but he just committed to Ohio State, so we missed out on that. He was here recently.
That big lineman from Colorado though too. Neo was just asking about him. I haven't. About that one too. So
I haven't seen a list of the players we're going at yet. I've been shooting some messages to some friends to see if anybody's got some updates for me, but I do know that we're gonna be active. The good thing is the portal's ended today. Because the portal has ended today, we've got people we got graduate transfers that are really going to start showing out. You'll see more graduate transfers probably throughout May and the summer than probably any other time. Because once they confirm they're graduating and they're walking across the stage and they finish up all their requirements, they're eligible to leave whenever they want to and go sign whenever they want to. And so that's my expectation with that. Right. We got ourselves another super chat. Eric.
Hey.
Thank you. I, too, am super stoked. That's very generous of you. The $50 is going towards some camera equipment. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. We are all stoked about this 24 class because of not only the players that we know have already committed, the ones that we anticipate to commit that have given silent commitments and who are just going to go through the process and go recruit other players. Remember, some players don't immediately commit so they can do their officials to go recruit other players. So always keep that in mind too. That's something to keep in mind. We know who ours are, but there's going to be more too. So Eric, thank you so much for that. We really do appreciate it.
No doubt, man. And to plug, just to give a little plug to PG, man, he was talking about earlier about, is this going to be the best ever class in OU history?
Oh man, that's a toughie. We've had some really good ones. I mean, the Adrian Peterson class was not bad. I think the question is gonna be, I think this will probably be our best defensive class ever. I mean, the Tommy Harris class was pretty stacked, but I do think that there's a good chance that we can surpass that
Tommy Harris class. Whoa. Oh.
Yeah,
I forgot about that one. Nasty. But listen, if you think about this, though, the defensive linemen alone, say you do what we just talked about and they get 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
And we've got the tools and the capabilities to do it. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stay tuned. I plan on having a lot of breakdown on these players, especially the offers throughout May. It's a dead time, so just don't attack me too much when I drop the videos. Y'all don't. I'm just teasing more than anything. But no, I'm going to be putting out a lot of stuff on the players we're offering. You'll see more shorts coming out. We'll be busy throughout May to keep you all busy because it's a quiet period. It's going to be one of those periods where a lot of things are being set up right now to go to Champ U Barbecue in June, which is June 16th through 18th. That weekend, I'm seeing some names, and I'm going to put a video out on it end of next week about some of the players that we're hearing that's going to be pulling up.
Will it be before Friday?
It'll be on Friday. I'm going to put it out.
Okay, so if it goes out early enough on Friday, then after you put it out, then you can come on my live Friday afternoon.
And we can talk through it.
And we'll talk about it some more.
We'll talk through it. Perfect. So outside of that is the portal stuff. Hit that like, subscribe, jump in the comments. I love hearing from you all about some of these players hitting the portal. Who do y'all think might be next to hit the portal? And who do you think we may target and try to pull in? There is a lot of players we're going after. Colorado offensive lineman potentially could be one. There's a player at Colorado that I do want us to go after really bad, and I'm going to talk about him on the other side of the Colorado stuff. But let's get into some, how do I say this? Jason, it's time to build the hype machine.
Oh, good.
And we're going to take these next 10 minutes to start putting some hype out for next season. Are y'all ready to go through the hype of this next season? Let's go through the hype of next season, right? So ESPN last week dropped their FPI, which is their Football Power Index. And a lot of you may be asking, Football Power Index, what the heck is a Football Power Index?
It's the weird way of ranking.
It's their weird way of ranking based upon not only strength of schedule, but the players on the roster, the coaching, the production, trying to predict the way production's going to look. There's a long list of things that ESPN throws into this. It's not perfect, but it lets you know if a team is supposed to be better than what they are. Or if they're as good as advertised. So there's a massive measurement.
Power indexes are better like that. Just coaches that don't watch games and or reporters that watch one team.
Yeah, so. and exactly as James mentioned, a lot of in the FPI after 20,000 simulations, they do 20,000 simulations. However, they do it with their calculations. This is what they expect the team to look like by the end of the season. So this is just a predictive measure, understanding of who's who based upon rosters, and I want to talk about it. So let's go into FPI. This is the Big 12's FPI look. Now, a lot of y'all gonna be mad. Don't be, because I still think it's good stuff. But this is FPI for the Big 12. Number 1 is Texas out of the Big 12. They're number 5. Oklahoma is at 11. TCU at 17. Tech, Baylor, UCF, Kansas State at 27. So you got 22, 23, 26, and 27 where Kansas State is. 38 for Oklahoma State, which is wild to me, but they've got something there to see. 43 for Iowa State, 48 for Cincinnati, 54 for Houston, 57 for West Virginia, 60 for Baylor, and 68 for Kansas. Yes, I did name out all the new schools like BYU, Houston, Cincinnati, as well as UCF in this. But this is what, based upon the simulations and everything about these rosters, what it could potentially look like when the season ends. Jason, you had a statement. What you got?
Yeah, I don't like those last couple for sure. I think that you're going to tell me that BYU is going to be worse than Houston and they're bombing out of there as quick as they can. And then same with Okie Light. I mean, Okie Light's not the team that it was last year at all. So I don't know what they're getting there. And like Kansas, I mean, listen, the only thing Kansas needs is for their boy to stay healthy. If that quarterback stays healthy, they got a chance to win the conference.
So I'm going to say this on here. I'm very much disappointed in the Kansas rating. Kansas at 68 seems super low for me.
Insanity.
Because Jalen Daniels is a monster. And like you said, as long as he's healthy, that team is a lot better. I would have, but these all simulations, and they change. This rating changes I think it's changed every week is the way that it gets changed. So there will be an update coming. So it's probably an update now by the time you're watching this video or watching this live. And so there's a good chance that this has already changed. But I think the thing that significant jumped out to me was Texas and Oklahoma's ratings. Actually, there's 5 teams in the top 25 with UCF and Kansas State falling in at 26 and 27. And so looking at the full number, you've got, of course, Ohio State and Bama leading the way. You're still sitting with with Georgia, LSU, all the teams you would expect to be there. And this is some of the stuff they look at. You've got, let me see if I can make this bigger for everybody out there. You're looking at your the power index itself and the projections based upon the divisions, percentages of winning divisions, national championships, and all of that. And honestly, Oklahoma being at 11 and being right there, a 10% chance to make the playoffs, with a 24% chance to win the conference.
Yeah.
Because them and Texas is at 54. They're expected. They've got the returning starter. They got the returning team that went 8-5. Yes, we know how Texas has never lived up to their expectations, but
so that's a beautiful thing. Let them not do it again.
Yes, we would like for them to do that as well. But making the title at a 3% chance and a 1% chance to win the national championship, they're one of two teams, along with Penn State, to win the Natty. I think that's a pretty big deal. Projected wins losses is 9.7 wins. A lot of you have told me that you felt like this team could win at least 10 games.
Yep.
I'm there. Jason, when you see them aligned with everybody else, at least in the top 15, they've got us above Florida State, which is super fascinating. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close. I'm always going to complain about some of these things, but just sticking with like Oklahoma and Texas. I feel like it's probably a matter of why is Oklahoma up as high as it is, and even over Florida State. I think it's simple. Their transfer portal use and where they got better was through the portal on defense, which is what they needed. Offense was not a concern. They were top 15 in the country already. So it's one of those deals where you start looking at that and, okay, Bothroyd comes in. You've got Lacey comes in on the defensive line. Deshaun McCullough, the freshman All-American, comes in. These are just a couple of names of guys that they expect are going to make a big step. If they play somewhere, anywhere close to what they should offensively, which they will. You got a second year coming back for Dylan. They've got, I don't know. I just feel like it's going to be a better season offensively too. And if you get in that top 60, top 50 on defense,
we're there.
Should win 10 games, easily win 10 games. So
that's how we need.
I can see that's how you get there. And so overall, I just feel like I don't want to be that guy to drink the Kool-Aid too fast, because I know I kind of did last year. But looking at this schedule and looking at the moves that they made and the way that they're recruiting, you have to expect that they're going to be significantly better.
Yeah. So 100%. And so looking at last season, this is what we ended up last season. You know that we ended up at 23rd last season.
Yeah.
In the football power index. And I think that we ended up there because we were supposed to win a lot of those games we lost at the end. Those 5 games of one score games that we lost that we probably should have won because we were up in
Texas
most of those
Tech
games.
Game, they freaking called a good field goal off.
Right. You got a Tech. You got the Baylor game we should have won. You got games that we should have won in those one-score games. We should have closed out. And that's the thing, is that takes into factor a lot of that stuff. At 23rd, we should have been 23rd in the country. Above team, Tulane, finished up at, number 25. We should have been a lot higher than what we were. And it was because our team was a lot better than the way that we ended up performing. Some things, lean left and right. But the good thing is what? We probably should have been a lot better. And so
isn't it wacky that Washington finished way behind Texas and beat them in the bowl game?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Texas accumulates talent. We all know that. The problem is they never execute with the talent. Yeah. That's the difference. They accumulate the talent. They don't execute with them. We'll see what they look like this coming season. I don't know how much I believe in them yet, but I know that they still got a lot of work to do. Yeah. I call him that all the time, but it's not even out of love. It's because I know that's who he is. So
it is who he is. Yeah.
Thank y'all again for pulling up. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. If you're listening to the podcast version, rate, review, give us those 5 stars. Got to make sure I remind you all on all of that. But this is one of those where, you got to just know that it exists. The hype train is going to begin. I promise you, once we get closer to August, more and more of these recruits come in, the more and more the hype train is going to be for Oklahoma. A lot of people are going to point out how we lost those games last year. I've seen Josh Pate do it. I've seen Joel Klatt do it. I've seen, I've even heard Colin Cowherd say some things about that.
What?
Everybody is pointing that stuff out. And they recognize that, this team's probably going to be a lot better, and it should be a lot better now that they're 1 year under the belt. They don't have as much turnover, even though we're still going to see a lot of it, because from the last spring game, I actually just saw a sheet. Last spring game compared to this spring game, the turnover has been absurd. We almost are a new team. just
That's
be
what,
prepared
83, 84% turnover now?
Something like that. Yeah. We basically turned over just about most of the old regime's players. Most. We've got the receivers. Really is really the and
And that may change too.
So yeah, it's gonna be
This is the last day the portal's open, correct? Today?
Today's the last day for standard players to go into the portal. Of course, graduate transfers can transfer anytime they want to because they've already got their degree. But undergrads, today's the last day. So you're going to see a lot more entries by the time you see this video and the last video talking about transfer portal players, there's going to be a ton that's going to be going in and out. So be prepared for that. Jumps a couple comments. I know Neil, I just asked this question. Interesting. How much time do you think Brennan Thompson will spend with Venables? You gonna say my meeting? Yeah, I do. He's probably spending a ton of time. That's no lie. I don't expect them to not be having a lot of conversations around exactly that because of him being here now. I totally expect a lot of time and discussion to go down. And Kim, you're right. The way that we played against Florida State, a lot of people started to recognize that Oklahoma could be coming. There's going to be a lot of goodness coming from them down the line. And lastly, with James, last 2 years, nearly 50% turnover each year. Only 23 players from that 2021 Bedlam game are still on the roster. Yeah, I think it's less than that now. But no, you're right, James.
It's less. Yeah, it's definitely less.
A lot of play. Our turnover is a lot higher than y'all expect. Buddy over there, over at the Big 12 country site, he was talking. He has a list of all the players that have come through from like the Grinch regime to, this is all from the spring game actually the last game, the Oklahoma State game before Lincoln Riley left. I'm gonna share this screen. I want y'all to see how many players are gone. All the red lines are people that are gone.
Holy crap, dude.
That's the players that are gone either from graduation or transfer since the last game, since right before Brent Venables was hired. Right. Wow. So a lot of people when we talk about this, we point out to everybody that, hey, you had a huge amount of players turnover. And this is a good representation for y'all to see and understand. A lot of them are gone. Period. So that's what we're working with. Let's move on to the last topic. I'm going to change things up real quick. We're going to go into my standard branding real quick because I want to really dive into this conversation for one particular reason, because it intrigues the heck out of me. Let's talk about all this turnover in Colorado. So, me and Jason have talked about this on a few occasions, and you know what? Let me switch this up. Let's go full big screen. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Let's go big screen on this one.
Getting big ugly in here.
You get big and ugly up in here. And for y'all don't know, Colorado is seeing a massive exodus coming out of the city, out of the campus, off of the team. And I wanted to point this out specifically because one thing that Coach Prime pointed out when he first got there was that the players we're going to have here at the spring game, majority of them will not be here on that fall roster. And it was a standard warning for people to understand that he's going to have to do a massive turnover to be successful long term. Let me preface this by why I'm talking about it this way. And Jason, I'm going to have you jump in here in just a moment. Look at it this way. The beauty of the transfer portal is that you have the capabilities of turning over your roster in one summer and having an opportunity to compete. And because the transfer portal is so new, this is our first time being able to see this truly in action. Now, granted, a lot of schools do this type of quote unquote turnover when new regimes come in, a lot of it's more so just scholarships are not renewed the next year and they go out and get different players and get different recruits. Not much transfers, more so just they start cutting players off the team, getting walk-ons and stuff like that. And so this is not a very uncommon practice. We just never seen it play out in the public like this. And so for Coach Prime's situation, the bigger thing with him is this is the first coach that we've seen come in that took over, and I'm sorry, Colorado fans, I've got to point this out, a 1-11 team, bringing in a high-profile coach, right? So, like, look at what Lincoln did over there at USC. Look at what Sonny Dykes did down there at TCU. They were bringing in, they brought in almost like 30 almost, I think like 30 to 40 transfers when they got there. They were bringing in a lot of transfers, and you saw that. You saw Mel Tucker do that at Michigan State. It wasn't something that was sustainable for him yet, but he brought in a bunch of transfers, and he had a really good season his first year there. So you're going to see this type of stuff happen way more often, especially when you get higher profile coaches going to new jobs. Now, one thing is that if Colorado had the talent day one, we wouldn't be talking about this, right? There's no conversation to have if Colorado had this talent day one. There's absolutely no reason to talk about it. But the problem you're running into is that they don't. They don't have the talent. They didn't have the talent up front. They didn't have the talent available. And so because of that, we're seeing them have to figure out how to be successful long-term with a new coach and whole new regime and a new coaching staff. Now, there's one player that shocked the heck out of me that entered the portal for a second time that I kind of want Oklahoma to go after. And not only that offensive lineman all y'all are excited about. Seydou Traore, the tight end / wide receiver that came from Arkansas State, that is a mismatch nightmare. You've seen people go look inside of my comments here. You will see in the live chat, if you're watching this on a separate video, go look at the live chat comments. A lot of Sooner players have said they would like to get a tight end, another one, because we've had some injuries. We don't know what the depth looks like. We got a lot of tight ends. I think we're good, but bringing in a talent like Seydou Traore will be huge for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I think that Traore left for a simple reason, and I mean it's simple. Listen, he didn't realize going over there, Sean Lewis's offense, they don't use tight ends for anything but blocking.
Thank you. Right, exactly, and that's kind of one of the things they learned going there. Also, with some of those players that did go in and end up leaving the portal, they got there, started working, and they got beat out by other players. Like, oh no, we got beat out by current players here. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to start here. I came here to start. You're not going to guarantee it for me. I'm going to leave. And so I don't see a problem with the mass exodus there. I don't see a problem with who they're bringing in and what they're doing, because in my personal opinion in all of this is you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Yep. And if this man wants to be successful, year one, I said year one they'd make a bowl game, and I still stand by that because I don't think the Pac-12 is that good. I think they are good enough to win 6 games. That don't mean they're going to have a winning record, but I think they're good enough to win 6 games. We're going to see a lot of players come in. They just picked up an Alabama corner. Didn't they just pick up 2 players from Alabama? They got a defensive lineman from Tennessee.
Yes, defensive lineman from Tennessee, defensive lineman from edge rusher from FSU, and Derek McClendon. And they've got right now, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, over 4 offensive linemen that are all coming through the transfer portal this week alone, plus Alton McCaskill, who was the freshman of the year in the AAC last year.
I say, and you got to remember they were losing. They still have to cut down their roster. If I'm correct, they still got kind of too many players under scholarship.
They had to look. They're off of that problem. I mean, they're at like 35 players total. So they're scholarship players now. So they're there where they need to be. Listen,
they got the another tackle from Florida. You picked up David Connor. You pick up Amari McNeil. You they bring some of his Jackson State players like Willie
Cameron
Gaines.
Johnson is not guaranteed yet, but he was the first team All AAC offensive tackle from Houston. He went into the portal on Thursday. He was headed to Colorado Thursday night. So it hasn't happened yet, but it's pretty much going to happen.
Right.
As far as what I'm hearing, and as far Neil, I got to tell you, I don't think he's calling them losers. I think that what he said, I'm telling you, I watched that him on McAfee, and what he was getting at, and this is the whole point. And that now what McAfee and those guys were saying is a little bit different, but I'm going to tell you, he kept saying, McAfee brought up the fact that when he was that first day, and he's talking to those guys about who's going to step up in the running back room when it's 4th and 1. And not one of them said anything. They just stood there. And he said the same thing was going on whenever Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn Jr. were out there talking junk during, playing and against the DBs, and none of them are coming back at them. They just let these guys come in and take their lunch money. This is not the kind of player that can play for Coach Prime.
It's not the type of player that can play, honestly, here and survive at high level football. None of
this stuff would be being said if it was anybody but Coach Prime. Do you think that Saban would not have done the exact same thing if he took over at Colorado? You think he would have wanted any of those guys? And if you remember, he dumped off a ton of them when he went to Alabama.
Yeah, that first year there when it was like 6 and 7 or something like that. They
all have to do it, man.
That's some cleanup.
The fact that he did it faster than anybody else is the only thing. And yes, he's louder about it.
He's Coach Prime. He's Deion Sanders, man. That's
just
who
Coach
he is.
Prime, bro. And if you expect him to not be who he is, then you're gonna be disappointed every time.
Yeah, you'll be very much disappointed in everything, because I knew that Coach Prime was going to do this stuff. I knew that he was going to be who he is. And so, I mean, bringing in Brendan Gant from Florida State, 4-star, safety. They're bringing in some talented players. Now, they're not bringing in the top creme de la creme, the top tier players, but look at where these players transfer when they leave here. I think that if there's anything, if you want to have an indication of the talent they have and the talent that they were working with, go in there and see where these players end up. Because you don't have a lot of players leaving Colorado and ending up at some really big programs. You don't. Some are.
No, yeah.
But he's got a lot of work to do in cleaning it up there. And so I wanted to talk about that. I thought that was a very good topic. Hop in the comments, let your boy know what you think. Make sure you also like, subscribe, and all the beautiful stuff. If you're listening to the podcast version, rate, review, give us 5 stars. We would love to have you join the family and all of that. And so we're going to jump into some of your comments. So I'm going to move us back into the standard look. Actually, we're going to keep the banner like this. We're going to go old school look. We'll wrap this bad boy up, put a bow on it with some of the sooner or later stuff. So Derek thinks that there's more going on in Colorado than that.
Yeah, I was saying, do tell. I'm happy to listen.
I totally would love to hear, because I'm gonna be honest, I just don't think that it's more than just the fact that they're getting rid of players. Yeah. We're here to listen to it. I definitely, I love talking to you all and hear what you got to say. Kim, great for pointing this out. Michael Hawkins will probably be a 5-star by the end of it. I know that we're still working on that tight end. I'm hoping that we get Mitchell soon. I've heard that it's coming down the line. Expectation
that's going to have to be after the year's up, right? The school year.
Yeah, he can't reclassify until the school year's up. You got to make sure you have the credits before you can reclassify. You can't reclassify mid-semester. So anticipate that happening in the I say closer to August. He probably do some summer school classes to make sure, get the right grades. Once he's got the grades in, boom, August, he'll probably have the capabilities of reclassifying to being a senior.
He's moved around a lot, so it's been kind of one of them things where you have to kind of, get everything together.
Right, and I don't think that he's going to have the ability to graduate like us a year and a half early. So I don't think he'll be an early enrollee, unfortunately. I do anticipate him finishing a full year out there in Los Alamitos,
we can wait California. On him. If you've seen his tape, you can see that he'll be ready.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. Holy crap. To be able to move like that and catch the ball like that dude is a big dude.
So, Neo, one of the best players on offense for Colorado left their leading receiver, right? Well, no, he wasn't their. Well, I think he was probably their leading statistical receiver from the season before. He's not their best receiver. The best receiver is Travis Hunter, who can play both sides of the ball. And then Jimmy Horn Jr. is also really good. And they also got Weaver from UCF right next to him. So they've got 3 wide receivers that are going to be absurdly good coming into the season. So Shedeur is going to have no shortage of weapons. And then 2, they had what? Who's also the commits from that class? Oh, no, they got some young commits coming in. Oh, no, my bad. Let's go to 23 class. They got 2 wide receivers that are coming in here this summer that are going to be good, and Adam Hopkins as well as Omarion Miller. So they've got a lot of really good players that are still coming from this class. They had 19 players sign letters of intent. They still got a lot of players that haven't. Cormani McClain ain't there yet.
Nope. Neither was Shiloh. Neither was
the 3 Oklahoma kids they picked up.
They're gonna be freaking fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine long term.
Freaking fine, man.
Long term, they'll be fine. And as Neo pointed out here, most of the players from the Riley regime, they haven't ended up anywhere either. That should tell you something.
I'll put it to the haters this way. Y'all want to make some money off me? You think I'm wrong? Bet me. Come with me. Get a hold of me in my comment section or here, and let's put some money where your mouth is, because I'll take your money on win totals. I love it. Let's go.
Okay, you're 100% correct. This one right here is probably the key thing.
Yeah.
Is the busted coverages usually comes from, I put it like this. Our secondary did a lot better after TCU. Our problem was that the defensive line needs to get more pressure, and I think we'll get a lot more of that. The defensive linemen are getting bigger. They're getting stronger. They showed a lot of promise. Devon Sears walked in there and was looking like a monster. So because of the young players that are ready to play and the veterans we have and the good rotations, Isaiah Coe is looking better. We'll get that pressure that's needed to where the secondary is not out there playing defense for 7 seconds per play. And we talked about this in the past, and Kim has done a fantastic job of always echoing me that you can't expect your secondary to be any good if they're in coverage for 6-7 seconds. They're eventually going to get beat. And so yeah, we'll be fine with that. Get yourselves excited. We've got a lot of young players that are great. I'm stoked. I hope you all are too, because we're going to have another fantastic year. So we're going to wrap this bad boy up, get on up out of here. Jason, let the people know where they can find you.
Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. It's at CFB-pod on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitter at BirdieManDub and on the web at hofmedia.us. That's hofmedia.us. Check out, I've got, for you California or you Colorado boys, I'm going to have another hater video for you guys coming up here shortly. So we can talk a little bit about that. But yeah, make sure that you hit that like button here. If you're not already a subscriber to his show, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Make sure that you are. If you're one of his and like to see some more content about OU, about Colorado as well, jump on over to my page as well, and you'll get some more. And Jay's
join the Hall of Fame Mafia, man. He's always join the Hall of Fame Mafia, baby. Join the Hall of Fame Mafia, baby. And it's been fun. We've got a nice niche group of people that are doing the OU content and college football content that we work with, and so I appreciate them always joining us. So Jason, thank you as usual, folks. Thank y'all for coming in. I appreciate the love. Thank you for letting us know it's a great show. We just want to get better for you all. So hop in the comments, give us feedback. When I do post in the community, I do that because I want to hear from you all. So we want to curate this to be as best as possible for you all, so it's fun, interactive, we could talk more. Today wasn't as many comments I wanted to pull in like I normally do. I wanted to get some stuff out because it's been a while since I put some content out. It's been about 4 or 5 days, and so we're going to get back on track luckily here in May. I'm pushing for a video. This guy
wants to work. It's been 4 or 5 days since I put anything out.
Hey man, it's travel has got me, but I got travel, but I'm going to start working on backlogging some stuff because I got some fun stuff to talk about with these recruits. So besides that, hit the like, subscribe button, and rate, review, give us 5 stars. Think we deserve it. Give us 5 anyway and gift it. And so we'll catch y'all later. Peace.